Hi guys, Kpac here. Welcome to the Amigeeks. I am beside my friend Creomancer.
Or he isn't.
What?
I don't know.
I don't either. But what I'm going to have us do today is my good friend here is going to react to a film I just watched. It's a short film made by Bat in the Sun Productions called Batman Dying is Easy. To give you a little context of what this film is, it is a fan film and it was funded by the fans and GoFundMe. Kevin Porter, who has been Batman before on Bat in the Sun stuff, has reprised his role as Batman. And Aaron, I'm going to butcher his last name, I always do. Shoinky, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Okay.
Shoink, something like that. Anyway, he and his brother directed and produced this film as well. It's very much set in the darker Batman DC universe.
Okay.
And is more of a psychological thriller than a beatdown sort of Batman film.
I gotcha. That sounds pretty cool.
Alright, so have you ever watched any of the Bat in the Sun stuff?
I have not.
Like Superpower Beatdown or anything like that?
No, never had any experience with it.
Oh, so this is going to be your first foray.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, whenever you're ready, I'll hit play. And,
It says disclaimer.
Yes, Bat in the Sun Productions and the following presentation are in no way affiliated with DC Comics or Warner Brothers. Dying is Easy is a non-profit film and is free to all. Enjoy. And this is our disclaimer. We are not here to profit off of Bat in the Sun Productions. We just want to react to this. More specifically, have him react to it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Good to know. Now, one last question for you. Are you thinking what I'm thinking, sir?
I think so, but how are we going to get a rhino to wear a tutu?
Just start the film.
Okay. Oh shoot, I forgot how loud it actually was. It's going to resonate within the mic too, I'm afraid, but it's okay. That bat suit though.
It is pretty, very detailed.
And the thing I like about the Batmobile here, it's like an amalgamation of all the Batmobiles together. You got a little bit of the 89/90s, you got a little bit of the 60s, you got a little bit of the newer Batmobile.
Okay. I can get behind it. A lot of bass in it so far.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to turn it down just a touch more, I think, so it don't resonate in the mic as much.
Oh, Gotham.
Move a little closer so we can get to the mic a little better. Before we get much further, how much of the Batman mythos and universe do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
I know enough to get by, in general.
The choreography is excellent.
I was thinking the exact same thing. So far, pretty good choreography.
Oh,
Ow, God.
You enjoy stealing innocence. You get off on it.
After chocolate, cream cake, girls, my houses seem to enjoy it.
Never again.
Oh, God. And what's bad is Batman is like this in some of the older comics and the new DC Black stuff. He is ruthless.
That's insane.
Kevin Porter does an amazing job, and he gives off a really good Kevin Conroy style voice.
Yeah. So far, cool. I like Ruthless Batman. He seems nice.
Hey, give me a minute, would you? Bullock, what do you want? Hey, you showed up. How's it hanging there, Bats? I don't have any time for your lack of candor, Bullock. Talk. You think I enjoy coming up here in the middle of the night, freezing my butt off, just because Gordon's in the hospital? I got real cases. I got actual things to do. 3 of my men are missing, and you know what? I'm gonna find out where they are, one way or another. I don't really have a lot of extra time to babysit freak in a cape and flying around the city pretending to be a superhero. You know, just because Gordon respects you doesn't mean I have to, right? It goes both ways. Listen, you know what? I have some good news for you. The face-to-face clown is dying. Anything else? Well, he's demanding to see you, of course.
That stoic, emotionless stuff is hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
Most of your life together, right?
Definitely, but rather impressive.
I thought maybe you'd be excited. A little celebration from your side of things. You know, as far as I'm concerned, one of you madness dwellers is getting exactly what you deserve. Death of the Joker, nothing to celebrate. All I'm saying is that somebody should have pulled the trigger on him a long time ago. Well, you're the one with a gun and a license to kill. Yeah. Well, don't tempt me there, Pat. Yeah, do it. And you'll see exactly how deep this well of madness can run.
Quite the stare down.
That's when Bullock will never win. I'm sorry. As good of a detective as Bullock is, he's nothing compared to the Bat.
Give me a minute.
And he's gone. Typical Batman fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bats. You go. I'm on my way. Transfer Joker.
Just so you know, that's Chris Daltrey, actually.
That's cool.
Bullock, I would have reached out to you personally, but I have no way of contacting you directly.
As it should be.
Cold.
Mm-hmm. That's Batman. The piano, though. The costume and set work is amazing.
Good evening to all. This is Dr. Hugo Strange. This announcement is regarding tonight's schedule. Due to a code B27, dinner and all night activities will be delayed until
Freeze.
further notice. Mandatory lockdown is in effect.
Oh, that's Zaz. I was wondering who that was. I thought it was maybe Bane without the Venom
That is all.
at first. So that's Zaz. Okay.
Well, that's cool.
You don't need this. It belongs to you, but everyone else uses it.
Do you know the answer to that one?
Not right off, no.
Your name?
That's fair. I can get behind that one. Wow.
It's Poison Ivy. I don't think I need to tell you who that is.
He walked right past you. That's another man who doesn't respect you.
Shut up, Ivy!
Woo! Hi!
It's Killer Croc.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would need a BC powder after that. I'm sorry.
Easy now, there. Watch the fingers. I like it.
Kevin just has those facial features that's befitting of Batman.
He's off me.
Okay. I can see it. I mean, it's very austere.
For those at home, would you tell them what that means and me? Because I'm not sure.
Like, deeply serious and
Okay.
foreboding.
So basically what I said earlier, stoic.
This
Kinda.
moment, it was supposed to take place on the Gotham Bridge.
Wait till you see Aaron's facial features for the Joker.
I like the cut, Jay.
Abandoned circus, televised for millions to see. It wasn't
And yes, Aaron
supposed to
produced
end
and played the Joker in this. So, that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dying.
He's got the look.
Melanoma.
Well, I guess that acid bath wasn't too funny, was it?
The night we first met. With all my close calls, skin cancer, the humor is not lost on me. I guess dying is easy.
Yeah, and comedy is hard. Why am I here?
That's a great question. I want you to finish what you started. I want you, Batsy, to kill me, not the cancer. Our legacy is too grand to end with a whimper. It must be epic. It must be gut-wrenching.
If you know anything about Batman, he doesn't kill.
That part I do know.
You have nothing to say. I just told you that I'm dying. This is it. The final confrontation. After all we've been through. This is our final soliloquy.
I don't care about our legacy.
People don't give the Joker enough credit. He's
You're a
a
coward.
genius.
He is.
You won't kill me because you're afraid.
This is what I was talking to you about, psychological thriller parts.
It's because without me,
It's psychological
you
warfare.
can't justify your own existence.
You're right. I am afraid. I'm afraid of myself. That once I murder, I'll like the taste of it. And then I'll kill every single inmate in Arkham Asylum. But you need me. Freeze has Nora. Poison Ivy has her environmental cause. And Riddler has his puzzles. But you have nothing. Without me, you become your worst fear. And that's being upstaged by everyone here.
I am the king of this asylum. See my crown? It sparkles in the bitter glow of twilight.
Oh my god, that acting. It's so good.
See, Batsy?
See how he did the checkmate there?
That you are not. You've spent your whole life fighting crime, night after night. Dead sidekick after dead sidekick. And for what? You're utterly miserable. Afraid of the one thing that could possibly bring you joy. I am completely and genuinely happy. I wake up every morning with a great big smile. I absolutely love my life. But you absolutely hate yours.
The thing about the Joker is nobody knows Batman better than the Joker. And vice versa.
Yeah. They're basically complementary opposites.
Exactly.
They exemplify everything that opposes each other while simultaneously creating this bond that creates the characters.
Exactly. One can't exist without the other. And that's been reflected many, many times, whether it's in games or media or the comics.
They give each other cause.
Exactly. And I'm sorry to pause it, but this is kind of what we do, even like off camera, is we'll watch some things and we'll react and we'll talk about it. And that's what makes good friends and a good time.
Definitely.
I've often wondered, where were you when the boy lay bleeding out? On the floor
And he's talking
of that
about the second
dusty
Robin here,
warehouse.
the one that he actually killed, by the way, Jason Todd.
Yeah, okay.
True, presenting him to me was a stroke of genius, masterful in your story writing.
But didn't Jason Todd actually survive and become the Red Hood?
He
To an
had
extent.
sell it. His firm
The story of Jason Todd is that I couldn't have paused it at a better screen cap. But the story of Jason Todd is he did die,
Mm-hmm.
but afterwards, Ra's al Ghul dug him up from the grave and put him in the Lazarus pit, you know, the pit that makes Ra's al Ghul pretty much immortal,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and resurrected Jason Todd, but Jason did not come back the same. He was a little bit wired
Okay, so
afterwards.
he didn't want to be Robin anymore and instead became Red Hood.
No, he literally just went insane, and his original cause as Robin, he would often ask Bruce, Batman, whatever you will call him, why don't we just get rid of the criminals altogether? He actually acted upon that even more so after his resurrection, becoming the Red Hood.
Okay. I can get behind that character plot.
And Joker is the one that was the cause of Jason Todd's death.
muscular body, breaking under the weight of my lead crowbar. Do you know what his last words were?
This is important.
With his last breath, what he said. He said your name over and over again.
So Joker knows who Batman is now.
To hear the boy scream your name one last time.
Wow.
And that's actually canon in the comics. Joker knows who Batman is, but Batman doesn't know who Joker is. And after all this time, Joker has kept Batman's identity a secret. So there's an underlying respect there,
Mm-hmm.
even though they're mortal enemies.
Perfect blackmail as well.
Did I hit a nerve? Ouch. Well, I digress. Moving on.
His next heinous act, which I'm going to do a shameless plug here. What he's about to show refers back to the first comic I'm going to be reading on my channel. You saw the trailer that I did, The Killing Joke.
Yeah.
How could we forget our favorite redhead? So photogenic, so young. Do you not remember most about this night? It was her hair. It smelled like lavender.
I've had enough of this.
Then finish it. Do what everyone wants and just kill me.
I'm not an executioner.
Just an indirect one, Patsy.
I mean-
measure up to your death toll. Yours is the accumulation of everyone.
He's not wrong here. When you, as a person that is executing the law like that, as a vigilante, expose a mass criminal that has done these extremely heinous crimes, you sentence them to many lifetimes in prison without chances of parole. You take away their capabilities of truly living.
It's a little bit deeper than that with what Joker is talking about. He's talking more along the lines of every person that the Joker has killed, every person that any of the inmates have killed, Batman is indirectly responsible for.
Because he didn't kill them in the first place and allowed them a chance to kill others?
Yep, in Joker's mind.
And that also makes sense. The butterfly effect.
Exactly.
You not taking the opportunity to end something only leaves more opportunity for beginnings of other circumstances.
And that goes back to what Jason Todd was trying to tell Bruce to begin with.
If he had just killed all the bad guys in the first place, they wouldn't be left to make more crimes happen again later.
But then, on the flip side, that would make Batman
just as bad as the
ones that he's putting away. So it's really a catch-20. There is no win there.
Exactly. And Batman, also having had his parents stripped away from him at such a young age, fears the idea of taking away people's loved ones from them as well.
Well, his whole vow was to never have another child lose a parent like he did.
Mm-hmm.
That's his whole vow, his whole motivation for becoming Batman and cleaning up Gotham, is so that a child would never have to experience the pain of loss like he had to.
Yep.
Joker knows this, and he knows how to play that.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to.
Lifts him up just enough.
Be alive. If you had died years ago, Robin would have a little flock of his own. And Barbara, her dreams shattered.
Playing on Bruce's regrets. He always feels he's responsible for their deaths, even though it was Joker.
Yep.
But Barbara's technically not dead, but paralyzed.
When's the last time that you've been in the news?
Her quality of life diminished to a point that it's just not fair.
Even Condiment King have had their headlines. What have you done?
You let me in. Then bail the curtain, Patsy. You know those 3 missing police officers? I killed them.
What?
I gutted them and left them to rot at O'Neill's Toyland. I can't tell you how much of a joy it's been to watch in secret as Gotham's torn itself apart.
Where could you get all that?
Look at that smile.
Clear. O'Neill's Toyland. I'm sending the info to GCPD now.
You're so predictable. I knew that if I worked you up, you'd lose your focus.
Worked up. I'm dying.
Are you?
What are you talking about?
I faked your toxicology report, along with your blood samples.
Look at me.
I'm sick. I've been poisoning your water supply for weeks. I knew that if you thought that you were dying, you'd play your cards out to try to impress me. I discovered that one of Jervis's thugs had possession of a police baton. It was registered to one of the missing police officers. I found 3 sets of fingerprints, and one of them was yours.
Now that's the only part that bothers me, because in canonicity, Joker burned off his fingerprints a long time ago. That's the only thing that bothers me about this.
So he would be able to pick up the fact that there was oil residue, but it would have been smooth.
Right.
Or it would have had the scars of the burning, according to how severe it was. But that still could be recognizable.
I mean, yeah, to an extent, but
It would just be a lot more inconclusive than just, I saw your fingerprints.
right.
I got you.
This is cool though. The dawn dawns on him.
You lied to me. you don't care about me, but you do. You spent weeks planning and preparing this, so we could have another awe-inspiring performance. I must say, Betsy, bravo. Bravo.
I guess dying isn't easy.
Is that a joke?
We're about done here, Lieutenant.
All right. Good job. See you guys downtown tomorrow. All right. Take it easy. So, you've been playing everyone the whole time. To be included. It had to be real. Think I was too stupid to sell it? Those are your words, not mine. I wish we could have saved the men in time. Those men were already dead. Excuse me, what was that? What'd you just say? I said they were already dead. You knew they were dead? Yes. What was all that about? Why did you do all that for them? I didn't do it for them. I did it for their families. I had to take away hope so their families could heal. It said that the worst thing to come out of Pandora's box were not the sorrows of the plagues. It was hope itself. Hope's a gamble. Hope lacks certainty. And this city knows all too well what hopelessness and pain can do. It drives it mad. Now without hope, maybe the family can start the healing process and move on.
Okay, so this is something that's kind of really personal to my belief system, and it plays directly into this as an idea. I've always felt that hope is a truly irrelevant idea.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Hope to me is nothing more than chance and desiring a chance to occur. And by hoping for something, you are opening yourself up to the possibility of not letting it happen or the failure of it occurring. Whereas the human mind and the soul is so powerful that you can will things into existence just by believing it to be so. So I personally feel like hope is irrelevant in the presence of belief. And I would rather believe things to happen than hope that they happen.
Alright, I can see where you're coming from, but here's my side of it. And this is part of me being a little bit optimist as well from time to time. Without hope, without us having that chance of, say, something good happening, we would all end up bitter and not even, thinking that there may actually be a light at the end of the tunnel for certain things.
Well, I would rather know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel than
I get what you're saying, but in the face of uncertainty of whether there is or not, I would rather have the idea that maybe there is and whatnot, as opposed to straight up saying, no, there's nothing. Because I don't know that there's something. If that makes sense.
It does. I can see where you're coming from. And it's two sides of the same coin here. Mm-hmm. That you'd rather open yourself up to the possibility of things and hope for a brighter outcome. And my way of looking at it is I just refuse to acknowledge the existence of a darker or worse outcome. I would rather believe wholeheartedly that what the good is going to happen. And then it happened. Even if it was going to happen all along or it's not going to happen, I would rather believe it and then find out later that it doesn't. Because that is more inspiring, more inspirational than hope. Chances are not things I'm really willing to take a lot of times. But belief can continue to push me forward.
Yeah. And I guess that, goes into us being able to be foils and complement each other at the same time on this sort of thing. We have similar outlooks, but it's the differences that we have that make us unique. Me as a creative mindset and you as the more logical, Isn't that fair to say that I'm the more logical mind or creative mind out of the two of us?
I'd say so.
Okay, and I definitely would say that you're the more logical.
I do base most of my decisions in logic.
So, and I might be, as a creative person, a little more willing to take chances because that's what I've done in my arts and in my, voice acting and stuff, than say somebody more like you that's more logical.
I can get behind that, yeah.
So, in my eyes, to me, this is kind of wrong. I'd rather have a little bit of hope of something good.
Mm-hmm.
And, yes, there's the pain of if it doesn't come to fruition that, it's going to hurt. But I would rather have the hope that it would be good and strive for that.
Okay, cool.
I can see why Gordon respects you. Used to think you were too crazy to deal with. But I realize now, underneath that Halloween costume, you're actually not such a bad guy at all.
Gone again.
What an asshole.
That was cute.
I don't know what that noise is out
Bullock
there.
was right calling me a madness dweller. Not knowing why or who killed my parents has left me with this endless open wound. An abyss that I stare into every night. It's that lack of closure that's turned me into this monster. A monster that I both fear and embrace. A monster that I call the Batman.
And that harkens back to what Joker was saying in the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Just laugh away.
Wow.
Okay, so there is a post-credit scene. I'm going to go ahead and skip past the credits here to that because
Okay.
we are on kind of a short time. Just kind of, here we go. There's not much to it, but does it not lead to something later?
Well, hello, Catwoman.
We've seen Ivy, we've seen Harley, and now we see Catwoman. I believe it's going to lead into something to do with the Gotham Sirens storyline.
I can see it.
Selena.
Okay. Overall thoughts.
Okay, so first thought. Wow.
That's what I thought.
That is a hell of a production.
Hollywood, eat your heart out.
Hollywood half the time wishes they could do stuff like that.
That's what me and a lot of the other fans are saying when it comes to any and all Bat in the Sun stuff.
I don't know why they don't. They'd have such a better audience if they did.
It's a lot more faithful to the universe.
Mm-hmm. It comes back to like the golden age of comics.
Mm-hmm.
And that darkness that made Batman who he was. There was always this, an encroaching and foreboding sensation in Batman that when I was reading the comics was what lured me to them.
Yeah, I much rather read a good Batman graphic novel as opposed to, say, a Superman one. Because Superman, even though he has his dark moments, for the most part, let's face it, he's a Boy Scout.
Primarily self-righteous.
Yeah.
It's like Captain America. Who doesn't like the Winter Soldier more than they like Captain America?
Right, and it's that idea of the anti-hero being able to bend the rules and still get the same results as like your Boy Scout typical hero.
Definitely. There's just this depth to characters that are willing to embrace the darker aspects of things that end up making their story so much more worth it to watch.
Exactly. It's a lot more in-depth and interesting in the long run.
And it's more relatable. That's one of the best things about it, is everyone, and that means everyone, has moments through their life that's darker and harder to deal with and bad. So when you have a character that exemplifies the ideas of hardships and anger and resentment, but utilizes them in a way to push themselves forward and further their endeavors, it makes that ultimatum so much more relatable and harder to deal with in a lot of aspects, but easier to watch because you can put yourself in their shoes and see where they're having this struggle.
Right, and relatability and a hero, I believe tragedy molds a hero better than, triumph. Look at the difference between Batman and Superman. Superman, yeah, he lost his planet, he lost his original parents, but what happened? When he crash landed to Earth, he had adopted parents take care of him, and he had a pretty good childhood,
Yeah, but I just love how we start this out. He lost his planet, and, everything was kind of...
Well, he was a baby. He didn't know any of this until later. All he knew was the love of his adopted parents, and they molded him to their standards. When we look at Bruce, he was actually old enough to understand what happened right in front of him. He understood the tragedy of losing his parents.
Mm-hmm.
And the darkness of growing up in this big mansion pretty much alone.
Yeah.
With only Alfred to look after him. That's the big difference, Bruce grew up in a lot colder style than Superman. Clark, all about justice and triumph and the American way. Bruce, he's driven more by, I'm not going to let this happen again.
True spite. He's more driven by the idea that is something that only occurs once, and to let it affect him and happen to others is something he can affect and change, and he'd rather be able to do that.
Yeah, and he has the means to do it. Yes. Yeah. Actors, your thoughts?
They were amazing. Perfect casting for all the roles that I saw. I'd love to see more. I cannot imagine the Riddler in this actually being a really great character. He was always the joke in all of the Batman that I read, but I could see him being a legitimate character in this.
Yeah, you saw him earlier, how gangly he looked and how sickly he was. That is actually canon to the comics as well. He has cancer literally eating him from the inside out.
And Poison Ivy, oh my god, that was a beautiful rendition of Poison Ivy. I could not ask for a better, just full personification, really. The voice, the way that she moved, her mannerisms, yes, the design of her character, the aesthetic was just everything great. Her room being covered in plants and vines encroaching on the brick, it was just beautiful.
And Harley was spot on to where, it's
no
not
room.
Arlene Storken or Tara Strong voicing her, but this lady...
Short of that, it was perfect.
And it's not always about the voice, it's how you project your character as well.
Exactly.
Aaron's Joker is close to Mark, but not quite there yet, And I'm not even quite there.
You're good, but yeah, not quite. And that's what makes a character their own.
Exactly.
And you can aspire to be much like a character, but you can never truly take that away from someone.
Right, but when you turn that character and you make it into your own, like Aaron did, like Kevin Porter did for Batman, and I believe Kevin also does Wolverine in their series as well. I could be wrong on that, but he is absolute gold as Batman. Now, Bullock there, if I'm not mistaken, he actually is the real Bullock from the Gotham series.
It looked like it.
I believe he is. Chris Daughtry, Jesus Christ, I don't think I could have ever pictured him being Hugo Strange, but he pulled it off.
He did a great job. Like, I love Chris Daughtry.
And I figured since you are more into a variety of music than I am, you would know Chris Daughtry better than me.
Oh, yeah. I loved listening to Daughtry when he was on American Idol, and I've done my best to follow a lot of his advancements through music ever since then as well.
So I figured you would love that.
That's great.
That's part of the reason I brought you in to watch this, other than the fact that I knew you would probably enjoy it, because you're as big of a nerd as I am. Our namesake for the channel is the Amigeeks.
Exactly. I mean, I can't complain about this. It's quite fun, quite a great story. I mean, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I would put this out for anybody and everybody.
What about how they designed Gotham? How it looked? Is it every bit as you thought it would be?
Well, I'm not going to lie here. I didn't get to see as much as I'd like to of it.
Okay.
But from what I did see, it does kind of have that feel to it. It's that, big town, big city vibes. Everything's moving and hustling and bustling around you. And parts of it are kind of falling to the wayside, and that's the parts where you see him more. The darkness and the decay and everything. And it makes sense to the Batman character, because it's part of the exemplification. His symbolism is a dark and decayed person that's jaded over time, and then finds his way in the Batman to try to rectify the wrongs that have been done through his life.
Okay, so I told you from the very beginning it was a more psychological take on the Batman mythos and universe than the actual beatdown and fights. Talk to me about that.
Okay, so the psychology, oh my god,
I know you have a bit of classes in psychology and stuff. This is why I asked you on it.
I have almost my full baccalaureate in psychology classes, but there's so much to decode. There's the speaking, the way that things work together, the characters and their dynamics, the mannerisms, the nonverbal communication that was portrayed so well. Everything worked together. There was psychology, and then there was the reverse psychology that was being used, and 3 times reverse psychology that was being used.
I know.
It was crazy.
It was amazing.
It was crazy. Oh my god. Okay.
Just when you think Joker is one-up Batman turns the tables on him.
I've been working on this for weeks.
Then vice versa.
God.
Yeah.
And then the Joker, you do care about me.
You lied to me.
It's so good. Okay, as a whole, the psychology aspect was portrayed extremely well. There was a lot of depth put into the mindset of these characters, and I'm 100% positive they could not have portrayed these characters without method acting here.
There was a lot of that.
They had to take a lot of time to get into these characters in order to portray them.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I did that for my trailer. I'm not 100% Joker sounding or anything. But in order for me to portray that style of voice and character, I have to get into the mindset of it. I have to do the grinning and everything that goes with it. And you've seen this when we play D&D, and even when I'm messing around with voices. When I actually get into character, I get into the character.
Of course.
Okay. Especially with Joker. Every time I do that voice, I get this grin on me. And we see that with Aaron as well. We see that with anybody who plays the Joker well. And I hate to bash on Jared Leto so much, but he is the absolute worst Joker I've ever seen in my life. Okay?
Yeah, he didn't portray the Joker's inner child side very well, and that was half or more of the personality that made the Joker who he was. That's that toying and the kidding and laughing aspect of the Joker that makes him the Joker.
But deep down, that psychological genius maniac as well.
Yeah, and that's what feeds into the, like, supervillain aspect of him. The child, he wants to play, and he wants that instant gratification. And what better way of instant gratification than killing someone you don't like?
And Joker is the embodiment of that personified, along with making it an act.
Exactly. Putting it
all out there in a show.
Yeah,
he's a
making
showman.
a scene. I mean, that's what you want to do. And that's so great. That's beautiful. And he even wanted to do that with Batman. And honestly, Batman, as much as he doesn't want to make a scene out of things, he does at the same time.
Deep down, he kind of does. Because, that's him. His whole thing is he wants to be seen as this dark, intimidating figure to get
all of the bad guys, to keep them at bay.
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to be seen by the general public as to not ruin his identity.
Exactly.
Or to even realistically scare the people.
See, Batman and Joker are more alike than even their characters know. We as readers and fans see this, but they as characters do not. Well,
Exactly.
Joker does.
Joker
sees it. He's the one who's able to break down that fourth wall and literally look Bats in the eye and say, "You're no different than I am," deep down. And as much as Batman wants to deny it, deep down he knows he's true.
Yeah.
Because his wording about being afraid of himself, that if he crossed that line to kill somebody, he would kill everybody in Arkham.
Yeah.
He knows he knows that it's possible he could do that. He also knows that if he crosses that line, there is no coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that goes into, if you've watched any of the Justice League stuff, his own contingency plan. If he was to go rogue, he relies on Superman to take him out.
Yep.
Okay?
And, I mean, that adds so much validity to the character that they tried to design with Batman. And this group has portrayed that so well. As far as the psychological depth goes, even in the side characters that were mentioned in this showcase right here, they had a lot of demeanor that was underlying tension and desire that was great to see, because that's canon to the story that I know of.
And the best example of that is how Croc looked at Batman like he was a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he brought his claws out. He got near. He looked like an animal. He bashed his head into the glass just trying to get to Batman.
Yep. And the way that Ivy spoke to Harley Quinn.
Another man walking by not respecting you.
Exactly. Those subtle movements and the facial expressions. 80% of communication is nonverbal, man. And they did such a great job at portraying that.
Freeze, just his cold demeanor, just that subtle head turn. Like, I know you're here.
I could not care less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just...
And
God.
You and I both, we cringed at the very beginning with the nut check.
Yeah, God.
Man.
Every guy knows exactly how that feels.
There is nothing more brutal feeling than that if you're a guy.
And it hurts up in your kidneys, and you're like, ugh, it wants to make you want to vomit. It's bad.
And the fact that you didn't know exactly what Batman meant by you like to take these girls' innocence or whatever, however he phrased it, you didn't know what it was until that nut check. Then you realized what Mad Hatter's been doing to his Alice's this whole time.
Yep.
And that's what made Jervis Tetch, Mad Hatter, whatever you want to call him, so depraved and twisted in this incarnation.
Yeah.
So the big question, what was your favorite part of this whole thing?
Oh,
I know that's a hard one.
I have to pin one down?
Preferably, yeah.
Okay. I think if I had to say my favorite part overall, it was probably seeing the way that the Joker had to change mid-plan. It went from, I know exactly what I'm going to do to get to where I want him to, end me. I want this. I want this final scene. And then he even plays out the checkmate to symbolize the fact that he has cornered Bat. But then Bat spins it around. And
he finds that one move.
Yep. And Joker is just like, shit, dude. And he has to change everything in a split second to figure out how to turn this back around and make it that scene that he still wanted to portray. And
it still didn't play out.
Yeah.
He still is alive.
He still got to make that scene, though. And that was what was beautiful. Is that a joke? Oh my god, dude. It was great.
So, my favorite part, and it's actually a little bit more in-depth than that, is all the subtle hints and clues that you see throughout their whole psychological battle. You see Joker playing on Bruce's regrets.
Yeah.
You see him harken back to Jason Todd's death. You see him harken back to where he shoots Barbara Gordon. And all the depraved things, even hearkening way back to when they first met, that he knows that Batman feels responsible for all this. And after the plunge, turning this nobody into the Joker, Joker snaps. He literally snaps, but he gains a lot more psychology about him afterwards. It's like that there was underlying brilliance there that could not have been brought out until after the incident. He knows that whatever he does, Batman is going to feel responsible for it, even though Batman knows he's not. He's still going to feel that way.
And he always has something to use against him.
Yes. He always has that darkness, that cloud hanging over Batman. And that's why I don't think Batman is ever going to be able to defeat the Joker fully. Okay?
Yep.
And vice versa. Joker's never going to be able to beat Batman. Because Batman's always going to be able to be one step ahead of him as far as tactics go. But in the mind games, Joker has him.
Yep.
Joker has his number. Always has.
And as long as Joker has his tongue, he is a threat.
Mm-hmm. So that was my favorite part of this whole thing. It's just the general psychology and the fact that Joker knows deep down he has Batman's number.
All those little nuances and reconciliations.
Yeah, all those little dark crevices that Batman himself tries to avoid but can't. And he knows how to manipulate that to his advantage. That's why he was so confident in the very beginning that he could maybe get Batman to kill him if he presses just the right buttons. And he's always tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the brilliance of Batman in his tactics is he's always one step ahead of him. And that shows in here that Batman planned this whole scheme, this whole act, if you will.
And that was just so cool.
So, rating,
like, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's give it a 47.
I hear you.
Jesus, that was good.
Yeah. Would you want to react to more of this? Because obviously I've watched a lot of Bat in the Sun stuff.
Yeah, I'd totally be down. I would love to. That'd be cool.
I know we're going on about an hour-long video here.
God, we are.
But I want to show you another one of their short things, if I can, if you're okay with it. Or do you want to save it for another video?
I'd rather save it for another video.
Okay. So, we're going to end this video here. This has been Kpac and Creomancer of the Amigeeks. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Big shout out to Aaron and the whole team of Bat in the Sun and all the fans that made this film for us Batman enthusiasts possible. Okay, they breathed life into these characters that Hollywood can only dream of doing. The best Batman film that I personally feel that Hollywood has done was actually the 1989 one with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
I can get behind that.
Because it stays a little more true to that timing. And honestly, I was a kid then as well.
Yeah.
So it has a deep spot into my mind and heart. Whereas somebody like you, because it's obvious you're a little bit younger than I am. The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker. Most people of your generation prefer that one. You know, so anyway, we're gonna sign off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Any closing statements from you?
Now you can get the tutu.
Yes, but where are you gonna get the rhino?
I think I got him, man.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll find out next time on the Amigeeks channel.
Later, guys.
See ya!